and not even fully healthy either. So I'm just kind of curious going forward, like when they do become fully healthy. I mean, this team was scary before. They could be even scarier going forward.
Absolutely. We got Chris Simpson in the house. He said he's back just to say, how about them Giants?
What's going on, Chris? Welcome back to the show, baby.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, speaking of it, might as well throw it out there now. Speaking of New York Giants, we just today let you guys know here on our football page on Facebook, if you guys that follow us on YouTube and stuff don't know, on Facebook, we released that we are doing a live show next Monday for Monday Night Football. The Cowboys and the Giants, the G-Men, they're at Restaurant 605. Special guest there will be Dion Lewis, none other than Dion Lewis from the New York Giants. Yep. Super Bowl champion Dion Lewis with the New England Patriots, too, as well, and played for the Tennessee Titans as well. He'll be there. There's drink specials, $4 Miller drafts, buffalo honey garlic baked wings. I've seen these things. I haven't get a chance to taste them, but I can't wait that day. I'm going to try everything that they have, dude. They have these Bavarian pretzels with Guinness cheese dip and everything. Nice. Oh, it just all sounds good.
I'm going to gain another 10 pounds. Jim, don't forget, we got a jersey giveaway.
Too, as well. That's right. At halftime. So not only come see us, we're going to be there 6:30 to 8 broadcasting live, but stay, watch the game at halftime, and we're going to give away that jersey too as well, so you guys hang out for that. All you got to do, show up, write your name in the thing, subscribe to our show on YouTube.
Have to show us proof before you can enter.
Exactly, and that's how you win. That's it. You get your name drawn out, and that's it. But, yeah, let's get back into this. But, yeah, the Kansas City game, this was kind of the bout we wanted to see here. Who was going to win out of this one? Are the Chargers for real? Are the Kansas City Chiefs, are they, really as good as it looked like, Because, again, so a lot of people were reading into that Tyreek Hill thing. Again, he's not going to be there. It's going to be different. These guys are going to tail off because, again, their defense, they're not going to have Tyrann Mathieu either. And you saw that a little bit, too.
It's
different.
You
see the difference.
Yeah.
And you see a little bit of that pass protection even breaking down. And they didn't, for me, for the Chiefs in that game, I felt they didn't even attempt to run enough. I thought they should have did more running attempts that would have alleviated some of that pass pressure, and they just weren't doing it. It seemed like they had a game plan. Like, in the past, what was kind of their thing? They always want to try and take it deep all the time. If it wasn't there, he's waiting and then throws it deep anyways or something, you know what I mean? Or try to scramble around and get something. That's what they kept doing in that thing. And it's like they really wanted to execute that game plan instead of make the adjustments to what the Chargers were giving them. And luckily, again, the defense stepped up to save them out of this game.
Funny thing is, the Chiefs have never really been a running team at all. Since Andy Reid has been there, he's implemented his offense, and he's like one of the best offensive gurus you could have. However, the Patrick Mahomes marriage with Andy Reid and himself, they've kind of fallen in love with each other so much so that it seems like they are very pass heavy and not so much run heavy. I feel like this team could be even more dangerous if they kind of found that even balance between both ways of playing. So if they were to run the ball kind of like this, let's just say, because they love to pass, so maybe even do a 60-40% split. That still would be a huge improvement, I feel like, and make this offense even more dangerous. But until they kind of get into that balanced style, I still see issues. You know what I mean? Not having a guy like Tyreek Hill, you saw it. Like those plays that were breaking down, Tyreek Hill kind of would bail out Patrick Mahomes and would just take off. He could just heave it 70 yards. But those aren't there anymore. So everything has changed. They're still a prolific team. They're still going to get it done. But this is something that we talked about before the season even started. Like, the team's going to change because they have to. It's not going to be the same. They don't have Tyreek Hill. They don't have Tyrann Mathieu on the defensive side. And you notice some miscommunication errors on the back end of that Chiefs defense. So I still think that they are a very good team. I mean, hey, they're the AFC West champs until proven otherwise. And they're still going to get the deal done. Look at where are they right now? They're number one right in the division. I know it's only 2 weeks, but listen, we knew it was going to change, but maybe it hasn't changed that much.
Right, and facing some of that tough competition, really performing too as well, despite it all. Let's get into some of the other games now too. This was the week. First week was kind of feel it out. We'll see who's who, and it was all over the map. This week, again, it's almost like that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You're like, like for me, when I did my picks the first week, this is kind of how I saw some teams, and then I didn't get it. I'm like, oh, maybe I guess I was wrong. And then week 2 came, and I was like, no, I think I was right. Maybe, you know, it's just crazy how it's just different, just like that. But again, teams trying to feel each other out here, get it going. And this was the week of the comebacks again, late comebacks where teams had the game in hand. The Cleveland game too as well. That's one of the big ones. Baltimore. And a few like that, but the Cleveland one, especially for me, they had like a 13-point lead going in there with like a little over a minute. And I watched that score with the Corey Davis where they just kind of left him wide open back there. And I was like, all right, soft coverage. They're kind of just like whatever.
Breaking coverage.
And gave one up. They're going to suck it up. Like, all right, well, whoops, we screwed up. Let's just finish this game and get out of here. And so I thought it was over, so I just shut it off too. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, Jets win by 1, Joe.
No, I mean, that was a phenomenal game by the Jets. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even think they had a shot to beat the Browns. I thought the Browns, after the week 1's performance, I thought for sure they were going to come in. Yeah. They were going to kind of just outplay the Jets on every facet of the game. So I'm expecting the Cleveland to kind of just blow them out, much like the Bills did to Tennessee. You know what I mean? That's what I was expecting. I was expecting like just a blowout game, even maybe not even like 41 points, but the point differential would have been huge. And that was not the case because the Browns, they got up early, you know, and it just seemed like the teams do this way too often. We talked about this off camera, but teams do this way too often where they kind of like when they get a big lead, they kind of relax. They kind of like take the pressure off a little bit. Offensively, they're not really trying to score. They're just trying to milk the clock. Or defensively, they kind of they lay off a little bit. They play softer coverage. They make you work your way down the field just to chew clock up. But that's not a way you win games. You got to finish games. You got to dismantle that team altogether. And that's what happened with the Jets game. They kind of let the Jets back into that game. Not saying the Jets weren't trying their hardest to get back, but it's just like it seemed like the Browns, just like a lot of other teams this week, once they got a lead, they kind of relaxed, and that let the Jets have an opportunity to come back and just win.
Yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations to all the Jets fans out there. I know you guys have been waiting for this one.
I know. They were probably expecting, too, to come out of this one in 0-2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Again, not having Zach Wilson in there, the injured lineup, the offensive line. Joe Flacco, again, a lot of them were complaining about him last week. But it's not all his fault, and you can see it there. The Washington Commanders, after a strong performance last week, again, with Detroit, the Vegas had them as a favorite. It was a very slight favorite,
right? But they were
what
still
they've
favorite.
Been playing, and now they showed you like this one. They did what Dan Campbell's been trying to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to be that lion in the cage and come there and then rip your head off, and that's kind of what this team kind of came to do there in this homestand. And that home crowd's really feeling it now too. You've been there before for Detroit, and the fans are just kind of there and you're kind of into it, but it is roaring there.
Oh yeah, I mean the passion is grown big time. You know what I mean? So like this is what the thing is too, is the fan base has bought into Dan Campbell as well. It's not just the players are like, yeah, we're going to battle for you, coach. No, the fans are now kind of like they're buying into the process. They're buying into the style of coaching that Dan Campbell brings. Very physical, hard nosed, going to punch you in the face type of coaching. So everybody's bought in, fan base included, and they're all about it in Detroit. Like this is the thing, is they see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? Especially like we saw last year, them hang in some games but not quite get it done. They're doing the same thing. It's only been 2 weeks, but like week 1, they were hanging in there. They just couldn't get it done. They come back in week 2, and they just beat Washington Commanders right up from the start, from kickoff. So they outplayed Washington, and rightfully so, and they're going to continue to do this to any team that they have to face.
Absolutely. And I just got to talk about my Giants real quick too, Joe. That game was tight throughout the whole thing. Is fairly boring. Like both teams kind of go back at each other in a game of field goals and stuff like that. Not a whole lot of scoring. Yeah, it was a lot of
back and forth.
Where Graham Gano is even the special teams player of the week. But one thing you have noticed about this defense for the Giants, their scheme that they've been doing has been working despite having the injuries that they've had and the personnel for that matter. But to look at who they faced, the 2 running backs, that basically is the identity of the Titans. and the identity of the Panthers. They've pretty much locked them up for 2 weeks straight. The top two running backs that fantasy fans have to be roaring right now, even with like displeasure. Like, oh, are you kidding me right now? Because I'm sure they started them against the Giants in those weeks. They got it because they're their rock.
You have to. Yeah.
And then you figure, oh, we're going to get it. And then they shut them down. What does that say about the heart of this team? Different from last year's team and how they're playing for their coaching staff, whether it be Wink Martindale or for Brian Daboll too as well. Offense still spitting and sputtering here and there, not as explosive as plays that they had last week, but sticking in there, hanging in there, and getting it done here against a team like the Carolina Panthers, who looks like they have a lot of special things there, just can't muster up a win and get it going here for them.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the Giants, and this is not the best that the Giants are going to be. Mm-hmm. This is just the tip of the iceberg for them because everything is new. They're learning a new offense, and that's why you're starting to see them, like you said, spit and sputter on offense. Mm-hmm. Is because they don't have it all together just yet. They don't have all the different checks and balances on the offense. They don't have it down to a science just yet. So you're going to see mistakes being made. But defensively, it seems like they're a little bit more on the same page than the offense. And that is what they're doing is they're making teams one-dimensional. When they see a big-time running back come in, guess what? They're focusing on them. Derrick Henry, no, you're not going to run on us. CMC, you're not going to run on us. You're not going to expose our defense that way. So that what they're doing is they are literally making teams that they play one-dimensional. And once you do that, if you are able to make a team one-dimensional, you already know what's coming. Yeah. If you stop the run, what can they do next? They have to throw the football. And now you can just unleash the beast on pass rush to really get after that quarterback. So I just would say that, they are, it looks like right now, it's still really early, but they got a lot of work to do. But so far, they've actually they've had to surprise just about everybody, that are even winning these games right now. It's early, but let's see where they end up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And again, they shouldn't even be in some of these games in the way that they're playing. It's pretty impressive. Again,
right.
We got somebody in the house here, Joe.
Know-it-all is in the house. Let's go. Toby, what's up, baby? Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Says Giants are trash, Joe.
Well,
that's hurtful.
That is. Hey.
Well, that's what's funny. I didn't expect. I expected it to be trash, but they did win though somehow.
Right.
So they're doing better than my expectations again, and I'm not like, oh man, this is great.
It's not just you though, Jim.
Yeah.
Like they're doing better than I thought. They're doing better than everybody thought, and I don't care if you thought you. Did you honestly think if you're a Giants fan? Did you honestly think that you would be sitting here going into week 3 and you have a winning record?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, be near the top with the Philadelphia Eagles. But one thing, too, is I think what makes it, when you have nothing to lose, I feel like with those guys, too, because they try to cut their money and all that stuff, and with the defense, they had nothing to lose, so they're not playing that cloud defense, prevent defense when it gets tight in those 2-minute situations or whatever. Like what you saw in the tight game in week 1, they were blitzing still, manning up, things like that, to where we saw teams that had the lead, they were doing quarters and stuff like that and giving everything up underneath and letting teams drive right back at them. These guys were just like, let's give it all, and whatever it is, it is. You know what I mean? It might have led to some penalties, some pass interference.
I mean, what that really is it's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's his play calling. Listen, because we see, Gus Bradley, perfect example. What does he do? His defense is not only a traditional style of defense, but he plays a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover. Once in a while, he plays cover 2, but a lot of cover 3. He would rather nothing goes deep, nothing gets by us, but we have to come up and tackle when they drop it off. But that to me that's what you're seeing. You're seeing other D coordinators being successful because they're not afraid to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to put the pressure on the offense now. Don't sit back and take it. Don't say, we're going to give you 10 yards. No. They're going right at them.
Right, and on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, look what they're doing some of the stuff with, too. The fact that it's a healthy not playing Kenny Golladay, that there's issues there, that it's just not, it's work ethic or whatever. He still feels like he should be out there. They're not putting him out there Darius Slayton's not out there at all. Kadarius Toney, very limited.
Right.
That the fact that they even want to play David Sills the fourth and things like that out there. This is a wide receiving core that you're getting out there. So it's pretty interesting what's going on with them. But they've got a tight matchup again this week, Joe.
Next.
But next, here we go. We've got the how about the Colts? Is that one of the biggest shocks out of the 0-2 teams here, though, too? The Colts? I mean, a team that looked like they were just looking for that quarterback for the last couple of years here. You couldn't have gotten worse, I guess, for Carson Wentz, that people thought. You know, they still were able to get there to try and get to the playoffs, and he failed again miserably. But now you can't even get a win with Matt Ryan. The guy who's been there before, and with Jonathan Taylor, the first game running over 100 yards and can't pull out a win, and then you just get shellacked here this week.
Well, the big reason is because what do they have besides Michael Pittman Jr.? And if you remember, he was out this week.
Yeah,
he wasn't even playing. Paris Campbell's not going to get it done for you. He has not proven to be a number 2, not even a number 3 ranked receiver on that team. So what they're lacking is weapons. They had Michael Pittman Jr., they had Alec Pierce, but he got hurt. So both their top 2 receivers weren't even playing in this game, which is you're gonna struggle. You don't have your best weapons out there. I'm sorry, but here's the craziest thing for me is the Colts offensive line is seen as one of the better offensive lines in the league. And you put Matt Ryan behind a great offensive line, you would think that there's going to be some success there because you're giving him protection, you're giving him a hell of a running back that he can hand it off to. Even if you're down to your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th string receivers, you should be able to get something done. And still, they're struggling. Listen, they played the Jacksonville Texans in the first week, and it was a tie. Ended up a tie.
Ended up being a tie.
But you know, we kind of said this in week 1 that Texans are probably going to start surprising people this year. And then when they go against the Jacksonville Jaguars, didn't really know what to expect. I had a feeling that the Jaguars defense was going to play better in week 2. Week 1 they looked terrible, but I just had a hunch that maybe the Colts with them struggling. And the fact that the injuries that they had, I just thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's a perfect opportunity for them to kind of get back on track defensively and then maybe offense get some plays going. So we saw that in that game, and they're home. Jacksonville just had more going for them into week 2 than the Colts did, especially with those injuries. So that's kind of where you saw it, everything transpire.
Right. And now let's get to quick the Baltimore game. We saw a game too where they were ahead, and again where I was ready to mark it up for a win because I went with Baltimore here. But Miami again playing with heart, getting it done, and getting it done by the pass too, to where people were even questioning maybe they were wrong about Tua and what they were able to do. And Tyreek Hill obviously he hears about what people say all the time, so he's quick to get to the microphone to tell you guys how much he's into it. He's my guy. Yep. He's going to be getting the big bag of money and all that stuff. But he put him and Jalen Waddle, too. It's not like just all of a sudden Tyreek Hill show.
Both of them.
He's spread it out to all those guys, and fantasy owners are loving all that so much, too, for them. But really getting it done here. Miami getting it done against another team where you got to kind of put that litmus test up. Again, how good is this team to compete? Well, they beat one of the other teams that people see as a true contender here in this AFC for a playoff game. Now, this week is got to be the ultimate test for them because not only a divisional rival, but the team to beat in the AFC East and the Buffalo Bills in a little bit. So that's going to be a knockout, drag-out game, too, as well. So what do you think about Tua and the way he's played, though, so far?
I mean, Tua, this is the thing is, what's been the biggest problem for Tua? And everybody that's been down on him, he's had kind of an injury-laden early career.
Yeah.
So we really haven't gotten to see what Tua is capable of as a full-time starter. And now, since you could say, listen, he's been hurt pretty much every season since he entered the league. Now this year, he's completely healthy coming into week 1. Like he was a little banged up before it, but he got healthy enough to play week 1, played really well. And then week 2, we said this was going to be a huge challenge for the Dolphins, let alone Tua. And they answered our question. They played the Baltimore Ravens, which is probably one of the more physical teams to play in this league. They're a ground and pound type of team. And for the Dolphins, I thought the Dolphins were done. Like the Ravens went up early and they went up big. And I was like, oh, Jesus, this game is over. It's written. It's done. Ravens, check off the win column for them. And then all of a sudden, it's like I was going back, and I kept noticing the score change. And I'm like, Dolphins scored again. Dolphins scored it. What the hell's going on over there? So I went over and watched the game. Like, they're coming back. And just like we mentioned before, it's a game about momentum. It's a game about, who wants it more. And the Ravens, they let off the gas pedal. What happened? You gave them a chance to come back. Dolphins come back, end up winning the game. And what can you say? But, like, Tua looks like the Tua we saw in college. This is the guy that was drafted, high pick. There was a lot of praise, but, the injury concerns were still there. But so far, he's on track to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks. Now, if he can remain and keep a consistent pace at this, he might answer all the questions, and he's going to get a new big contract. So that's the goal. But Miami looks good so far.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out for them, but it looks pretty good. Now the Rams again in a game that looks like Rams are able to handle probably, because Atlanta again, looking down on paper, not very good. Starting off with some of these new guys, you got Marcus Mariota in there, but. Again, Rams slow kind of start again here, not looking like that. They're defending champions, and right now they're barely winning some of these games. If it wasn't even for that knockdown in the end zone at the end of the game there, in that shot by Mariota, they could be sitting there with a loss here against the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons, for me too, have kind of surprised me, and Marcus Mariota coming out there and throwing it more too as well, and strangely, even too, not really involving Kyle Pitts in this offense as much. He's not getting it as much as he was last year, being that 1,000-yard receiving threat here for them. Maybe it's just with Mariota the way it's been. He's just not getting that,
I don't think it's Mariota. No, I think it's the play calling against the defense, and he's just not there.
But they're a good surprise here, too. So it won't be long, I think, until Atlanta, again, musters out some of these games that are close and turns them into wins, though. But
let's think about last season. Atlanta wasn't close in those games.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a pleasant surprise to see Atlanta, as competitive as they are. Marcus Mariota trying to rewrite his career in Atlanta back with his old offensive coordinator and Arthur Smith. I mean, they have weapons. Look, Drake London had his first big, game in his young career, only 2 weeks in. So, had over 100 yards of receiving. He had a touchdown, his first touchdown in the NFL, but no Kyle Pitts. And I'm kind of wondering, like, Arthur Smith, are you just kind of like going away from the tight end this year because you have Drake London now, because you have a running and passing type of quarterback, a guy that's very mobile that he can just take off when needed? I'm kind of worried for Atlanta's offense here. Like, you got to wonder, Kyle Pitts is a magnificent athlete at that position. He could literally play wide receiver if you wanted him to. And for him not to get the ball still after 2 weeks of football, last season, his rookie year, he was getting it all the time. And now it's like, I'm kind of questioning Arthur. Like, what are you doing? Don't you want to kind of stretch the defense out? Yeah. Like, oh, we got to worry about not just Drake. We also got to worry about Zacchaeus, and we also got to worry about Kyle Pitts. That's what you want defenses to worry about, everybody. So I hope it changes in week 3. I hope Kyle Pitts does start to get more involved in the offense. It's only going to be better for them in the long run.
Right.
And then Atlanta defensively is surprising to me. I didn't think their defense was going to be that good, especially not having their backbone of their defense. Deion Jones is still injured. So they're pleasantly surprising. I mean, when they were going up against the Rams, it's like, geez, both teams, like Atlanta's like kind of competitive, but the Rams are the Rams. They're the champions.
The defending champions. They're supposed to be showing it right now.
I thought this was going to be like a game where the Rams kind of come out and ball out and kind of show everybody like, hey, listen, no, we are still the championship Rams. We are going to destroy Atlanta. And that's not really what happened. It was a struggle all the way through.
Right. It's like they're kind of getting that Super Bowl hangover kind of like this about it. You know what I'm saying? And last year late, they end up making some trades here and there to get some other accessories to help them make that push.
Yeah.
And now they don't have those guys, plus a few others. And now you're kind of seeing maybe the difference here, on defense, not having that other pass rusher there too, to like Von Miller, and he's tearing it up there for Buffalo. If they had him there again, what a difference that would help out and make out.
He would make a
those
difference
guys,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then on offense, without having somebody else on the other side like Odell Beckham Jr. Look how well they did when Odell was on the other side when they finally clicked.
However,
he was able to make it work.
They brought in and paid a lot of money to Allen Robinson. And for you to pay that kind of money and not get him involved, because that's on McVay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's
with
on McVay with the play calling. That's on Stafford for not throwing it to him. Like, here's the thing: there's no way you can sit here and tell me that Allen Robinson wasn't open at all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
That's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. But I understand you're going to feed the ball to Cooper Kupp. I get it. He's your go-to guy. But you don't have Odell. You have Allen Robinson now. You got to get him more involved. Spread the ball around, create problems for that defense, and we're not so far. I understand it's only 2 weeks in, but the Rams are greatly disappointing to me.
Yeah, they are
greatly.
Yeah, and it falls into that scenario or that headline to where a lot of people again looked at Matthew Stafford when he was even with Detroit and saying. He just kept throwing it to Megatron all the time. Calvin Johnson, he's a one receiver dude. Just feed him. And if you got Cooper Kupp, you just got to feed. Yeah, I know. But again, this is what they want to help try to feed their point. They want to be like, well, he's just tunnel vision guy. That's what he wants right there. He's just going to feed him. Well, with the talent you have going on there, yeah, that's one thing. But I think, again, scheme-wise, where's the changing us up? Where's some of the running mixing it up? They did a little bit with Darrell Henderson week 1, but still not enough even. Where's that creative mind that is supposed to be Sean McVay? You're seeing more of the Sean McVay in the Super Bowl against the Patriots right now, kind of like, not, really lethargic, not creative, getting some stuff going with like you said, not getting Allen Robinson in there. You bring him in there to replace Robert Woods and trying to alleviate some of that, and you're not getting it. So are they losing, because they're missing some of those weapons now? Is that really the key here? Who knows? But
the other thing,
they need to get it going.
Funny thing that I have to mention is that, the whole debate about is Aaron Donald retiring before the season? Is he not? Is he coming back for one more run? He actually put his official retirement papers to the Rams.
Oh, wow.
He signed it and really sent it to them. The Rams, however, didn't send it into the league.
Oh.
The Rams the whole time kind of held on to that paperwork and kept trying to work on Donald and try to talk him into coming back for at least one more year. And the funny thing is by withholding that and not sending it in right away, they were able to talk him back into playing another year. So funny story that maybe not a lot of people know about is that they withheld his retirement papers. Otherwise, just imagine if Aaron Donald actually retired, if that got sent in and it was officially done and he didn't come back, how much more in trouble would this defense be?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. And again, where you're left, where you bring in Bobby Wagner too, but he's on his tail end of his career, and he'd be left with another defense that he's got to handle himself. And Jalen Ramsey's been a little bit disappointing, I think, this year too as well. Against
better receivers that can run routes, you can get Jalen Ramsey. It's just that simple.
And he comes up with that pick at the end, but I mean, again, the way that ball was going.
It's funny because, when he got the pick, they showed him on the sideline, and he was like, I'm him. You can't stop me. You know what I mean? Like, he did this whole thing, but like, here, you got exposed week 1, bro. Stephon Diggs had your number, and you couldn't stay with him.
Now, just real touch on one of the other games here with just with the headline here for San Francisco. How about that? We brought it up about the Trey Lance thing.
Yeah.
And how interesting would it be if something might have happened where he played poorly or something, and would the fans call for Jimmy
Did we
G
just
and
look
this
into
and
the
this and blah, blah, blah. But it ends up being one of those things where he gets injured right here. Unfortunately.
Took a pop, bro.
Yeah,
he took a big pop.
Done. And then there is no controversy. Now Jimmy G comes in there, but look how the offense really clicked with him though again.
Definitely.
It was like you took a break with a boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that, and you tried something else, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, this ain't the same. And then you found each other again, and you were kind of like, oh man, this is just making it work again. And this is just like old times. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was with these guys. You saw it in the locker room too. They're patting his head to it, even on the field. They're loving it, celebrating. The offense is running smooth. And you knew that's just the way it was here with Jimmy G. And that way it's been. They've had success throughout the multiple seasons here. It's just the fact that what they had put in to getting Trey Lance and where they had selected him, and it was that their plan to move forward, and they had to look at Jimmy G's contract too, in a sense too. They had to try and switch the guard here in their minds, and that's where it got kind of all messed up here. But this looks great for Jimmy G now too, as long as he stays healthy and plays well again. That I think this could carry him on to another team.
They didn't have a choice, honestly.
Oh, yeah, they
just didn't have a choice. They have to move on and put Trey Lance in because he is the future. He is. It's done. It's written. Like, it's going to happen no matter what because Jimmy G's not staying there.
Yeah.
He's going to work out the rest of this year, and then he's going somewhere else.
Yeah.
He's not staying now.
Yeah.
It was very unfortunate for Trey Lance to get injured, but good God, thank God they didn't trade him.
Right? Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And they were able to like redo his contract. Now they only getting paid $6.5 million, but now I think he got a bonus too of like almost $400,000.
Those bonuses because they didn't see him
because
really
he got to start and he got to win. So it's like a $400,000 bonus right there. He's smiling ear to ear, you know, of course. But we saw this coming. Like if Jimmy G was able to start again for the Niners, we already knew he knows the offense like the back of his hand. The players love him. He's very well liked in the locker room. And because of his understanding and experience with the Niners in this offense, they're not going to miss a beat. Now they're even better. And this is kind of like a blessing in disguise for the Niners and the Niners fans. Now you're not going to have any miscues. You're not going to have any really bad decisions that maybe a rookie like Trey Lance would have made. Now it's just going to run, baby. Like now the offense is going to put up points. The defense is going to, feed off of that energy and get after the other offenses. So the Niners are in a much better spot now. And they are definitely you have to label them as a contender now.
Right.
Because now that they have Jimmy G there,
growing pains.
They have what they need to win.
Absolutely. You want to talk about a winning team and having what you need to win. I'm going to tell you about my friends at Mohawk Honda. And let me tell you, just like that, Joe, it is fall now. We had talked about the summer and the warm weather and stuff like that, but now fall is upon us. I felt it today, and you could smell it in the air, pumpkin spices everywhere. There you go. You got the morning air, the pumpkin muffins, beautiful foliage, and just like that, it's fall. The seasons may change, but no one is more consistent with the buying experience than Mohawk Honda, where you get greeted with a smile and treated with respect. The new vehicle inventory is ramping up too with pilots, passports, Ridgelines. Remember, this is the best time ever to sell your vehicle. They buy cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it.
I doubt it.
Some. But maybe at Mohawk Honda, there is a chance. All right, so but it's just another advantage that you get from going to the #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. No, General Manager Greg Johnson and his team of sales consultants always available to help you in the buying process. And they have big news. Scott Moynihan is back. He's back and better than ever at Mohawk Honda, and he's bringing his 30-plus years of automotive experience with him. Stop in and say, welcome back, Scott.
I need to go and meet Scott because I don't know who he is.
I don't know either, but apparently he's a veteran around here, but I got to go check him out.
He's kind of a big deal.
But yes, the season's changed. Mohawk Honda stays the same because you know what? They always go out of their way to please you. That's right, Joe. Some of these games, like I said, they've been pretty crazy. Denver, very lethargic again, too. Russell Wilson now, even though even getting that deal now, look at that. They go and make that trade. You trade away all those picks, the players.
Well, the players for the most part.
The 34-year-old quarterback here, banking that this was a guy to kind of get them moving forward here, that he still had something left in the tank. And right now he's kind of looking more like of what people were starting to say about him when he started to tail off last season. And the Broncos really not looking very good.
I mean, the one thing that you got to remember, too, is like Nathaniel Hackett is a new head coach. He's also calling the plays, new offense that Russell Wilson did not play in. So it's like Russell Wilson, even though he's a veteran, he's still got to learn this new playbook, too, and kind of adapt to it as well with his new teammates. And so far, yeah, it's been a little shaky. You know, week 1 didn't look real good. Week 2, he was kind of, kind of overthrowing and missing some players as well. And it looks like, until they iron out the wrinkles as we get farther and farther into the season, that you're going to see these kind of speed bumps for the offense where they're not going to be as crisp. They're not going to have, be on the same page on the football field all the time. I think it's going to be at least 3 quarters into the season when you really start to see this Denver offense become a little bit more efficient than what we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then getting to the Cincinnati game, where talk about disappointing teams with losses here, the returning AFC champions here, having a bit of Super Bowl hangover themselves too as well, can't get it done against the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I already knew,
wow.
and we talked about this last week, that
just wow.
That pass rush was going to try and get what they were going to get there, but when you let an offense run by Cooper Rush get to you and stuff and pull out a victory against you, when you haven't lost anything, like we've said, you put money and invested into this offensive line to stop the sacks and stuff, and you've been
the pressure
13 times in 2 weeks. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati right now. You got to wonder, too, is a lot of these players, especially this offseason, a lot of these starters didn't even play preseason games. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be some rustiness that we're seeing early in the season right now, especially if you're a new coaching staff and you're trying to implement a new defense or new offense. There's going to be some miscues and mistakes that happen, and you're seeing that. I think in Cincinnati is one of them, where Joe Burrow does not look like Joe Cool anymore. Mm-hmm. He looks like Joe Bum. Mm-hmm.
Joe Blow.
Yeah, Joe Blow from Idaho. But here's the thing:
like Joe Dirt, I guess, right?
Where's the mullet, Joe? But anyway, but you're seeing some rough gameplay from Burrow, and listen. We've seen highlights once in a while where he hits, his receivers like T. Higgins and what have you. But it's like we're starting to see them they're struggling week 1. Week 2, they're like hit or miss. Let's see if they can kind of get out of this hole and get back on track for the division.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And that Vegas Raiders game, Joe, I hate to bring it up again, though. The Cardinals and the Raiders, they had it. We picked them, and they should have won that game. They had it straight up. They let him back into
turnovers.
That game. Yep, turnovers, just like that. That's
at
enough.
the very end.
And at the very end,
that's
there. That one especially.
Listen, the Raiders could have put them away in early in the second half. They were winning 20-0 after halftime.
Right.
But here's the thing: is like you let them come back in. Same scenario happened with Baltimore. Mm-hmm. You let off the pedal. You got real relaxed. We're going to make them work down the field, not give them anything deep. But it wasn't enough. You can't let these teams back, and the Raiders did that. But even though they let them back in the game, they had the ball the last drive. Mm-hmm. They get the turnover on downs, and they get the ball back, and it's like, I'm thinking like we're almost already in field goal position. Yeah. Oh, this is a done deal. We got this. Mm-hmm. We just can't turn the ball over, and we're good. Because with our really good field goal kicker, Dan Carlson, he can boom them. So I was really confident. I'm like, okay, we can escape with a win now. Maybe, right? But when you fumble the ball, not once, but twice on that drive, and on that second fumble, by Hunter Renfrow, they got the ball in the second time and then ran it all the way back, ending the game. My thing is, and this is the argument when you have players fighting for yards. Yep. In traffic. It wasn't like he was by himself and he's like, oh, I just got to shake one guy off and then I can run some. No, there was 3 Cardinals around him. He slipped one guy, stumbling to try to fight for more yards. Here comes Isaiah Simmons from the right. Boom! Causing that fumble. And it's like, dude, you should have just dove down, dove and just lived to play another down. Idiot.
Yeah, I know. It's tough watching that. And it was still, even despite that, it was so close to almost the Cardinals making a bonehead mistake, too. He almost pulled a Deshaun Jackson to where he just about, when he's taking it in the end zone, he knows he's going to score.
Oh, he almost let it go early.
Almost let it go early. When he did it, and I watched it in real time, I thought he did. I'm like, did he just drop that right before he even scored? And they did the review, and if it just didn't cross that plane, oh, my goodness, dude. Mm-hmm. How bad would that even been for the Cardinals even, too? Yeah. How embarrassing, but... Nonetheless, there it is. It's tough in another hard-fought game with your team here. But, again, they've showed to me, I think, that they have the ability to do it. But like you said, new coaching in there, guys getting together. I think it's going to take them a little bit to get used to each other and maybe move it along.
The difference that I'll say, like the Bengals, like because like everyone's like, oh well, the Bengals are the most disappointing, and they probably are because listen, they were they
saw
went
where
to the
they
Super
went
Bowl,
to.
and what they corrected what they needed to correct, and they're 0-2. What the hell's going on? So the Raiders. A lot of hype was around the Raiders, right, leading up to this season, and rightfully so, because they get the big trade for Devontae Adams. But here's the funny thing is, as much hype as the Raiders were getting, really, what was their biggest addition? Devontae. That was really it. Their offensive line is still shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's not very good, and that's why you're seeing Josh McDaniels, surprisingly, is rotating offensive linemen. That's weird to me. I've never seen that before. And it's like different plays you see different. It's always on the right side. But it's like, as a fan, I'm like, that does not happen. Why are you doing that?
He's got to keep him fresh, Joe,
There's that. And then it's just like, it is what it is, right? So let's see what they can do in week 3. They got to be able to put away. They got to get a win.
Yeah, they have to get a win.
It's a must-win game.
And like I said, this week, this is the week that one of them has to win here.
Honestly, they
an 0-3 team.
It's almost funny because like week 1, okay, they didn't play well enough to get the win. Week 2, they played well enough, they just didn't put the game away. Now week 3, put the game away.
Put the game away, especially with a reeling team right now that you should be able to handle right now, I think.
If they can stop Derrick Henry.
Right,
that's going to be the big thing.
And speaking of that, quick, not much to talk about the Monday night games. They're both pretty much blowouts. Kirk Cousins reverted back to himself again. And the Philadelphia Eagles really, showed you what that roster kind of can do now, with the talent that they had. And Jalen Hurts, again, pointing out there, say, hey, I'm
balling
here.
Out.
This is me. This is what I'm capable of doing, too, here. And it's only going to get better. Yeah. And Tennessee, it just... Again, not looking very good, especially on offense, and maybe more so than like you're talking about Patrick Mahomes missing Tyreek Hill. The talent on wide receiving not really helping out for Ryan Tannehill as well when you got to go to Phillips and they're dropping or fumbling and turnovers too as well constantly, and it's a revolving door. It's hard to respect the pass altogether. So then all you got to do is just stop the run.
But here's
that's what I think.
The funny thing is they have to rely on rookie Treylon Burks to get any kind of offensive spark.
Yeah.
Robert Woods had a few nice plays. But again, you almost see the reason why the Rams moved on from him because he was coming back from a major injury. And it showed a little bit in that game, but still, he can still perform well enough. But again, when you're relying no longer on A.J. Brown, who we all know how much of a beast he is, now you got a rookie trying to take over that role. It's a little different. And Ryan Tannehill, I'm sorry, I'm starting to see a decline in his play. If teams are watching game film, which I know they are, but if you pay attention the first 2 weeks, what did teams do? Concentrate on stopping the run, make them one-dimensional, and now Ryan, all the pressure's on you, bro. Now you got to out-throw.
Right, absolutely. And so that game was kind of funny, too, because it was one of those things where Buffalo went up early, and they decided to switch it up and go to Case Keenum. And it was funny. It was almost watching the presidential race. It's like all of a sudden the Titans are like, yes, we conceded as well. Malik Willis, here we go. Let's see what we got in Malik. You know what I'm saying? They're like, let's just say it's over. Let's get the hell out of here.
It's good.
And it's just making a preseason game.
That's the best part for the Titans, to be honest.
You see what they even have?
Now you get him some experience out there. See what he can do. Can he help drive that offense down and score? You know what I mean? He did end up throwing a pick, and fumbled. He needs to protect the football. But it's good. Obviously. There are mistakes made that he needs to get out of the way, and learn from them. So it was kind of a good thing to see him out there and give him at least an opportunity to showcase.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the notable type of games here for last week. Again, the Green Bay Packers always do well against the Bears. That's notable there. And I think the Bears, the game, relying on that rain a little bit, too, end up helping, too, and being in that home crowd, too. But the Packers really just laying it to them. But even the Packers, again, for me, it seems like they kind of get a lead, too, and always feel comfortable, too, and just rely on the fact that they've got, like, an Aaron Rodgers. But to win that game, it wasn't like Aaron Rodgers took him off the top. They ran heavily with Aaron Jones. So he did a lot of it and a sprinkle a little bit of A.J. Dillon, which he turned the ball over a few times. So that was kind of hindering them, or else they would have had more points.
Well, do you think
but they were
week
just,
one,
again, changing it up? And this is what I'm saying about what the Chiefs, I know you want to implement your game plan, but sometimes when you play a different team, it's a different type of team. You maybe need to attack them a different way. Belichick did that the best.
Right.
And this is what always what was bothering me about the Chiefs. They're
well,
stubborn.
The thing about the Packers is, remember week one, guys dropping the football.
Yep.
A young, I forgot the receiver, but the young receiver that went into the end zone and just dropped the ball, like
Watson.
That just was it Watson? Just Rodgers lost his shit.
Yeah.
he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
He was happy to have Lazard back this week.
Absolutely.
You saw it.
You saw it, definitely.
Definitely saw it.
And then Randall Cobb got more involved too. So like he's going back to the vets, and rightfully so. Like who knows? Maybe the offense, as they can grow and get better as they go.
All right, talking about getting to some vets and people that you can rely on, Joe. Why don't you tell everybody about Colorize here?
Colorize, yeah. Colorize is a locally owned and operated Benjamin Moore dealership with locations in Clifton Park, Niskayuna, and Queensbury. Yes, they focus on the outstanding products from Benjamin Moore, but as an independent dealer. That's right. They're local, baby. They're here for you guys. They also have access to almost everything paint and finish related. Serving everyone from the professional to the do-it-yourselfer, Colorize is eager to help and are capable of making your next project go a lot smoother. Colorize, the right paint, color, and advice from local professionals who care. That's right. These guys care about you. They're here to help you guys out.
Nice. Beautiful read.
Color matching, they do it all.
Yeah, they do. I love Link. He's right there. He's definitely a customer service guy. Like, if there's anything you need, he'll do it for it. Whatever. If you need it right away, that day, boom, he gets it there. The fact that they have multiple stores helps too. It's like, oh, we don't have this here in
but
this,
we got
this
it over
unit.
there.
Oh yeah, let me call it Queensbury. Yeah, all right. Well, we can have it delivered here, later today or something. You want to come back or whatever, and boom, they've got it. And they're going to be opening up a new store in Troy, dude. North Greenbush by Hudson Valley. That's big too. That's a nice happening spot too. A lot of business around there. So that's going to be exciting too as well for them. So Colorize. There we go. Joe, here we go. It's a week competition. The picks. Here we go. This is what our record is so far. It's a little rough, but you know what? The first 2 weeks of this competition, we always get it really rough, and that's usually our worst weeks.
Trying to figure out teams.
Season. Yeah, it is. It's tough, and that's what it is. We're trying to figure it out, especially this year with the way things have been going with guys changing teams and injuries and everything else. All over the place. But we're excited to do it.
Tomorrow night, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns.
There it is. Joe, here, take it away. What do you think about this one?
No T.J. Watt. I'll say that about the Steelers defense. And we noticed how much it affected them. To not have TJ in the lineup, to not be able to have that extra pass rusher to disrupt the backfield, it definitely took a toll on that defensive side of the football. And then offensively, Mitch, man, you're failing me, my guy. You're making mistakes. And I'm really not sure if this offense can even get off the ground at this point. We know that they love to run the football with Najee Harris, and why not, right? But Mitch has got to put forth the effort and play a little bit better to kind of make defenses, keep them on their heels. But I feel like because the Steelers are struggling still on offense, like they've shown some flashes of highlights, but not enough, not consistently. Cleveland Browns, man, what are you doing, Browns? How did you lose to the Jets last week? You had the game. This had to really sting, for Cleveland. So I feel like Cleveland being at home, they're a little pissed off. They want to make a statement. And I feel like even though this is going to be a rivalry clash, I'm going with Cleveland in this one, being home and getting the win.
All right, Joe's going with Cleveland. Yeah, I think maybe in this one, Myles Garrett's Trubisky sucks. Bring on Mason Rudolph. I want some piece of that motherfucker again. Let's go. Let's get it going again. But yeah, that's the thing. Again, it shows you what a leader that TJ Watt is for this team to not have him there. What it meant to him, and but again, they just ran into a buzzsaw of the Patriots that. After a loss, there's some kind of stat too about the Patriots coming back from a loss. They always correct their mistakes, prepared for the next game, and they just don't play well in Miami either that first week. So, I mean, it's just a destiny. They came back to earth here and were able to get it done and be more of a Patriot-like and force the hand here. Cleveland, they've been that pretty dominant team. Even that first game, they ran the ball, established to do everything that they wanted to, and keep the seat warm until Deshaun Watson gets here. It just, again, he got too lax, and it's tough to get back into that mode again. I think everybody's going to be amped up for this game. The defenses are great, but I think Cleveland altogether, again, with talent, with the two-headed monster running back, wide receivers, defense, and being at home, I think they've got Pittsburgh's number here this time as well, too. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
All righty.
All right, next up, Joe, we've got the who is it? The Texans and the Chicago Bears now. Here we go. Texans looking for that win now. They have a loss and then that tie. But the Bears, they're 1-1, and they look good, then they look bad. Texans really roaring, and looks like they have something going on here. This is a tough one because I know Bears are going to play tough at home, so they got that homestand again going for them, and it's cool to see what Justin Fields has been able to do in mixing the ball around. It's not just even like the Darnell Mooney show. He's spreading it around all over the place.
Quamius St. Brown's getting the ball.
Quamius St. Brown
Daniel
too as well.
Mooney.
Yep, but I think they need to get a little more bounce too as well. They have Montgomery back there who was getting some chunk yards at times, but I think they even showed a stat in the last game. Justin Fields doing a whole lot on his own, and I think they need to tail that back here and not have him so much being more of a run threat for them, but mix it around a little bit and alleviate some of that pressure for him with the lack of weapons that they do have.
Call some running plays, for God's sakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Roquan Smith, again, he's kind of got to be that guy on his own there, still balling out, too. A lot of people forget where he was in that sack leadership last year, too, as well. So he's still doing some good here for them, but I don't know. I got a feeling maybe Houston might come in here and maybe edge out something here. So,
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. This is a very competitive team. We've seen, like, as long as their offense can stay healthy, like, not so much defense. They got a bunch of younger guys on there, and they're playing really well. But this offense, man, it's going to come down to them putting points on the board because I think they can hold off teams as long as they can do that. Chicago, they're going into Chicago, really tough place to play. Very gritty type of team, and just like you mentioned, like they're doing it right on offense. They gotta run the ball a little bit more, and I hope that they do it this week. The defense as well. It seems like the defense is playing better than the season prior, even with all of the players that they had, like a Khalil Mack and what have you.
Hicks.
So me personally, I'm going to go with the Bears at home on this one. I love Houston. I do think Houston definitely has a chance on upsetting, but I'm going to go with the home team on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here, too, on being the home team. Again, at Houston, I think they have something, but I think ultimately, too, feeding off that crowd and being home there still, these guys, they just, on average, play better at home and can get it figured out. And when you look at that Green Bay game again, too, if it wasn't for just some certain amount of turnovers and just the lack there of just getting it there, they were still kind of hanging in that game a little bit if they could have only turned some of those drives into something. Next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Indianapolis Colts. Colts just look defeated here right now at this point. Like you said, maybe it is. Again, they had the two weapons that they were missing last week, too, but you still got to think if Matt Ryan's that guy that they wanted to bring in, you got to kind of control the line of scrimmage here and get their running game going, and Matt Ryan should be able to spread it out to some of these other guys to win that game last week. I mean, the Jaguars, yes, again, we liked some of the things that they've done, the new coaching that's in there, too. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who's trying to get into his own here, too, but it's not like they have ridiculous wide receivers that are blowing you off the page either as well.
Right.
So you had to establish your game, and really, I think some of it's, too, it's that Colts defense not doing what they're supposed to be doing here to stop the Jaguars.
And this is this is the reason why when they made the move to get Gus Bradley as their D coordinator, I immediately said this defense is going to go from being really good to now porous. And it's going to be because of him, because he plays a soft cover 3. He wants to keep everything in front. So when you let them catch a 5-yard pass, now you got to come up and gang tackle. Why?
Yes.
You're giving that yardage up, and it's sad. So that's where you're starting to see the decline on defense right now. Mm-hmm. It's not because of personnel. It's not because they don't have good enough players and in the right spot. It's because you're playing a soft style type of defense, a bend but don't break type of defense. It doesn't usually work out. One thing to note is that, remember, we just talked about Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman out last week. Looks like they're going to make the return this week. Alec Pierce, as of today, had practiced in full. Michael Pittman practiced in a limited fashion, just kind of bringing him back slowly, but it looks like they're trending towards returning. So that's good news for the Colts. Other than that, the Chiefs playing the Colts. Like, if the Colts were in better standing, I think that I might lean towards the Colts in this game. But because Gus Bradley's the D coordinator, and yes, that sounds kind of funny, that's the reason why I'm not going to pick the Colts, but that has a real big reason. I feel like the Chiefs are going to eat this team up, and they're going to put 40-plus points on this team. So I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah, again, right now they're just looking better. And it looks like that defense, despite even missing some of the guys that they've had, they're coming into their own a little bit here. You're seeing guys like Gay on the back end, too, making some plays.
By the way, why he is out for a month.
Oh, that's no good
substance abuse.
Too. Oh yeah, that's right. I just heard that too. That's right. I forgot about that. I
he
heard that
this
morning because
I
wanted to use my thing. I wanted to say
winners don't use drugs.
I wanted to cue that up for that one. But
well, you did right now. It's good. Perfect.
There you go. But yeah. So I mean, what they've been doing has been good. But again, he's kind of shown Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he shows that weakness that he can't do it all on his own there too. But he has enough talent there to get it done. And Indianapolis, they're just on the ropes right now. So I like the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. I accidentally skipped over the one game, but so let's get to it now. It's your Raiders and
look at
the
that.
Titans here. Titans, both of these teams are winless right now. But I'm not going to get into this
too much
because we kind of brought up both teams in the way it was. Titans not showing me a whole lot, not even able to put up points. Raiders putting up the points, but just kind of not gelling all together here and finish
the game.
So they're going to do it here. I think they got a really good opportunity here too, and they're going to finish off the Tennessee Titans. I like the Raiders again. I picked them 3 weeks in a row. Hopefully it pays off for me this time.
Yeah, I normally don't even pick the Raiders this much. But it's one of these things where, like, they should have won last week.
They should have won.
They just didn't. They didn't execute. You know, you got it. You can't turn the ball over, and they did. But so going against the Titans, they're going to have to travel to Tennessee and play, and usually it doesn't really work out that well. They're usually not playing well. But let's see with a different coaching staff. Maybe they're going to be up for the game. But I like the Raiders' offense way better than Tennessee's offense, and I just think that despite not having a good O-line, that they're going to be able to execute. And if they have to come back, they're more than capable in doing so. So I'm going to go with Las Vegas as well.
All right.
This is shocking. Right on the calendar.
Yeah,
I don't normally pick them to win.
Nice. Awesome. Here we go. Next, we've got the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills again. What a great matchup.
Jesus.
It's like, again, it's another one of these games where, like, they couldn't flex this one out with San Francisco and Denver. Like, this should be like the late night game. Like,
this definitely should be
especially with
late
the
night.
teams that played last week.
Yeah.
But the Buffalo Bills, though, last week, unfortunately, again, that Dane Jackson hit, man. His own guy took him out, man. He's already down and then his neck. Oh.
Yo, his head almost came off.
Yeah, it's right, too.
It looked that bad.
Like,
like,
touched his past his shoulder blades.
Talk about decapitation of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. But then even Micah Hyde got hurt in that game, so he's questionable to play in this week. So that's a little bit tough here on your defense now. Two solid guys there that aren't going to be there for you. With a team that's got nice receivers the way it is, and a guy like Tyreek Hill that can take it off the top too, and Jalen Waddle dropping it too. This is going to be, I think, a nice close game here. And these guys are knockout, drag out. It is a divisional tough game.
Yes.
The fact that it is in Miami is going to play, I think, a factor too.
It definitely has to.
These guys are going to just be on a whole different thing. The humidity is going to take in on this one. I think Buffalo comes down to a lower level on this one, but I still think they have enough to get it done just against this team. But it's going to be a lot closer than the first 2 weeks.
I have to agree. Like that's kind of like how I see the game. Is it's going to be right down to maybe even down to the last minute. Where they're going to kind of, I don't think you're going to see the high explosion of points in terms of like scoring 40-plus points for either team. I think this is going to be a little bit more, a little bit more moderate. I think it's going to be like maybe in between 20 and 30 points for both teams, and this is a tough one. It really is. Miami's home. I like Miami. Listen, they're kind of like that dark horse team this year where, like, if they can, and I know it's a big if, but Tua's got to stay healthy to kind of keep this thing rolling, and they got to deal with a very, very tenacious type of style defense with the Bills. Bills are the favorite. Even though they're home, it's hard to pick against the Bills right now. The way they've been playing has been amazing. They've been hitting
pass rush has
all
been
cylinders. The pass rush has been really crazy, and scoring. I mean, it's hard to stop Josh Allen in this offense. So good luck. You got to deal with Stephon Diggs. I mean, yeah, I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, and this again is a true litmus test here of how what we're going to see of this Miami Dolphins team.
I tell you right now, if the Dolphins get this upset, if they are able to manage to win this game, it puts Miami on the map in this division, and now you gotta worry about them. Now you got to pay attention to them.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to talk about paying attention to some teams, the Vikings played the Packers week 1. Again, shocked the Packers right out of it. Last week, didn't even show up at all. Now they're back in a divisional game where they've pretty much handled the Lions for many years now. Now the Lions are a different team. Yeah, absolutely. So now looking at this game with the Lions, playing the Minnesota Vikings. Luckily, the Vikings are home, so it's a nice atmosphere for them. But Vikings the Lions are playing with a lot of heart and really showing what they can do with this new regime. Again, last year it started with last year, but now they've gotten the hard knocks going, and they're buying in. These players are buying in, and you got a running game with Swift now too, which is really nice too. That it helps out that offense, and Amon-Ra, St. Brown right there too, becoming a star there for them. So this is going to be a close game too, and if it wasn't, I think in Minnesota, I would say Detroit, but I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit comes out with this victory, but just because it's at home, and I think they just play better there, and it's not a Monday Night Football game, and Kirk Cousins not very good at that. I should have known it last week about that one. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings here.
All right, yeah, and here's the thing is just like Carson Wentz, you can't trust Kirk Cousins, and that's kind of a hard pill I had to swallow.
Somebody should have
week.
just went through him and was like, "You like that? You like that?" And you're like, "That's fine. I'm suing you for using that." Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota. Listen, they week 1 they looked like, oh wow, Minnesota might be legit this year. They played really well, defense, offense, what have you. Week 2, not so much. Lot to
leave to the imagination.
Yeah. So they're kind of like a perplexing team for me. And this is something that before the season started, I was kind of questioning is like how good can Minnesota actually be with the coaching change, new offense, new defense. Detroit though, they are very impressive. Like for them to be able to not only be in games, but they could actually win a lot more than people think. I like Detroit in this one, actually. Love the way they've been playing hard. Even though they're going into Minnesota, this might be the upset that Detroit needs to kind of wake everybody up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dude, I would love that, too. There's some of these games where if I pick a team where I think they might take it, but the other team wins, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that loss just because, again, it makes me feel good at what they've got going on here.
You have no idea how hard I was rooting for Texans last week. No idea.
Nice. All right, next up we've got the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens here. They're playing in New England.
Oh, boy.
And so watch out for that. Baltimore going into hostile territory where the wind whips through that stadium. And how's Baltimore going to react? Patriots come off a win. Baltimore just... surprised, shocked a bit here too at the end of that one. How are they going to perform here against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots here, Joe? What do you think about this one?
This is going to be interesting because we all know how Bill Belichick is a great defensive-minded coach. He's going to definitely have his defense ready for this one. And this almost in a sense, playing this style of offense, playing for the Patriots D to play against Baltimore's offense, it almost kind of fits really well for them to play against them because They're more of a run style type of offense, but Patriots are very disciplined too. So they're going to look out for all those little option plays that they throw at teams and everything like that. I think they're going to kind of make Lamar Jackson earn it himself. Like they're going to force him to throw the football and make the right throws and run when he has to. You know, so even with that hurdle that they're going to have to overcome, I still really like Baltimore's defense against Mac Jones and company. I love the physicalness of this offensive line that they have. And in the Patriots, like, they played really well last week. This is a little bit different breed of a team that you're facing. I think Baltimore is going to end up getting the win, though.
All right. Again, New England, I think, plays really well at home. Mac Jones still playing a little banged up here. But, again, when you look at these teams and what they have on paper and personnel, Baltimore still is deeper, especially on defense, because, again, they've lost a bit there in the secondary for defense here for New England. Luckily, they've got the mastermind there that helped get them through it all. And even on offensive weapons here, a little lackluster here, even though Baltimore doesn't have a lot of great guys. But Rashad Bateman getting over the top last week too as well, and then week before getting some plays too. These guys, he's still able to get the ball where it needs to be. So I think even if they try and play the run and try and stop Lamar Jackson and company from getting the run down, I think he does enough to create that threat to have him creep up, and he can hit him over to the top on one of these breakout plays. I like the Baltimore Ravens too as well.
Next game. The Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. This is a team that, Bengals have still been
with the upset.
The Bengals have still been struggling, and they're still trying to find their way. I know they have a couple injuries on the offensive line. La'el Collins, their right tackle, looks like he may right now, as of Wednesday, he's still he didn't practice, so you got to kind of monitor that situation on Friday. When the Friday injury report comes out, that's when you really know if a guy's going to play or not. But the Jets, on the other hand, their injuries, they got a lot of guys like, C.J. Uzomah. They got Jordan Whitehead, Quinnen Williams. They're all limited, so look, they're trending towards playing. But something to watch is George Fant, the tackle, didn't practice today. Doesn't mean he's not going to play, but did not practice at all. That's kind of a little bit concerning. So you got to kind of watch out for that. And Zach Wilson. That's right. Zach Wilson practiced in limited fashion. So maybe he might be trending to make a return. Possibly this week, definitely next week.
Yeah, I would put it back, especially if you're not going to get Fant there on the offensive line, too. So you're going to be super duper weak there. Why bring him back in coming off of an injury again just to get banged up again and run for his life? And maybe not even look very good, though, too.
This happens a lot. So George Fant, he didn't practice or whatever, but who knows? It could have been a day off he was given. Yeah. It could be just a day of rest. Or maybe it is part of an injury, but he'll be healthy by Friday. So a lot of different scenarios to watch. But Zach Wilson's the interesting one, because if he does come back, if he's ready to come back and takes over for Flacco, you got to remember, hasn't played in a while. He could be a little rusty, and that could really show.
And
I got the Bengals.
You got the Bengals, by the way.
Sorry.
Joe's got it. Well, there's, I think, one key factor that we're missing in this one, Joe. Last year, the Jets beat the Bengals.
That's last year.
With Mike White.
That's still last year.
Mike White is not playing in this game. I've got the Bengals. No,
should have went with the Jets.
So there you go. So, yeah, I know it could be anybody's game again, too, as we go. But, again, what better for the Bengals here to play the Jets at this point, though, to try and, again, set the slate clean, get that offense going. You want to talk about, disappointment and stuff like that. It's mainly this offense. Where's the Joe Mixon runs? Where's even the connection with Jamar Chase, getting these guys the ball here? Joe Burrow, like you said, not looking like Joe Cool. It's not like all of a sudden this defense is terrible now, too. They just got tired of holding off and off these turnovers all the time. The offense quick coughing it back up, that they just break down and then they give up the game, and it's just how it is. So the offense needs to really fix itself here. All right, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders here now, Joe. We got the tale of two different stories here. We saw Carson Wentz in week 1, then we saw him week 2.
Just like Kirk.
Jalen Hurts just warming up, and then he put the foot on the pedal to the metal, and now they face each other here. Former team here, Carson Wentz going into the Philadelphia Eagles territory, and I don't think it's going to be very good for him. The Eagles running on 100% here. That fan base is amped up too. They even were so savage last week that they were chanting "Skull" and everything to the Vikings fans too, and the Vikings team. And
yeah,
stuff,
they're actually going to be in Washington though.
Really? Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I put
so
the logo on opposite.
They get to avoid.
They avoid that. They'll get to go to where there'll still probably be a lot of them there because nobody follows Washington anymore. So it'll be a very quiet stadium.
I don't think so. I mean, you look at what they had week 1. That place was rocking in Washington, and then for them to even come back like they did. Carson Wentz fooled the hell out of me in week 1. That's all I know. You're not getting me again, Carson.
Fool me once, won't fool me twice. All right, so I'm going to Eagles. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I love how impressive the Eagles' defense has been. Their offense has been running on all cylinders. Jalen Hurts, man, he's really kind of taken that next step as a quarterback, both running and passing. Washington, I'm not buying. I'm selling. So I'm going to Eagles.
All right, excellent. Next up, we've got the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. Carolina couldn't muster up a win against the Giants here, but the Saints, Jameis Winston, the guy here, they looked really bad against that Tampa Bay game. But that Tampa Bay game was rough, man. It was going back and forth, the fighting. Even Bruce Arians get involved on the sidelines to where the NFL issued a warning to him, like, hey, you need to chill the hell out, man. What are you doing on the sidelines even? And their excuse was like, well, they didn't give us a box. He likes to be in the box, and they didn't let us have one, so he had to be on the sidelines. Doesn't matter. We've seen Bruce Arians get amped up, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, with his own players.
Absolutely.
Everybody. He's got like a temper issue.
Slap you
He's wearing
upside the
that
head.
pacemaker all the time, dude. Dude gets crazy. All right, but anyways, we got the Saints here going into Carolina. This is a tough divisional matchup here, too. Carolina just looks a little disheveled here for me. They were lucky to come out with a win against the Browns week 1, but Saints still really good defense. They're fired up. Jameis Winston just got to eliminate the mistakes here, and they can get through this one. But I think I like the Saints here over the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, Carolina's like they're on the cusp of getting a win, and it just seems like,
man,
I don't know.
Maybe not though. I got too many picks over on this side. I might switch it.
It happens. But Baker Mayfield, does he have a curse? Because they just can't win.
Right.
So far, he's been the quarterback, and wins escape him. You know what I mean? Like you look at last week. I thought he was going to get a win. I thought that the team was going to do enough to get it, and it just slipped out from underneath them. You look at now this matchup, the Saints, a much better team, a tougher team defensively, and listen, they're healthy. Yeah. Like there's not anybody that's going to be out of this game. Winston, even with the concerns, with his ribs and stuff, like how is it going to affect him? He practiced in limited fashion today, so it looks like he's going to definitely play. And everybody else, and then on the other side, Carolina, they're not injured as well. They're another healthy team. So everybody's going to give their best in this one. I think this is going to be an interesting game to watch because you got Winston and you got Baker, guys that have been trying to fight for wins and trying to help their team get that win. I'm going to go with the Saints on this one just because I like the defense and the camaraderie that the Saints already still have. They got a lot of chemistry already. Baker Mayfield, sometimes it looks like he's still trying to feel it out with some of the receivers, and he has his favorites. But I think that the Saints in the end are going to get this win.
And overall, when you look at this division, Joe, is this anything even looking out to like what you thought maybe out of this division?
I mean, it's only 2 weeks.
I know, but still, even look at the two where they played. Carolina, can take out the Browns, but then even a little lethargic, couldn't get some points here against the Giants. New Orleans knockout, drag out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the past 2 weeks, they didn't really dominate the Cowboys that much. I mean, they did well, but not enough. No. Not really doing like what Tom Brady has done to people before. Yeah, not a whole lot. And then the Atlanta Falcons, they've actually been the more surprising team about this. So how about it would be knocking this NFL, I think, on upside down if all of a sudden Atlanta pulls out this whole thing and can take this division. How crazy would that be?
Amazing.
Because right now they look like the better team the way they're playing.
Yeah, right now.
But yeah, the Saints, I like this one too as well here. Here we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers, I think they just got banged up a little bit too much, and they weren't able to seal the game last week. And that's what it was, basically. They had it and weren't able to get it done. Just just get hurt. That's what it was. Too much. They finally get pressure to him, and Justin Herbert playing with the ribs and stuff couldn't get it going. But one thing I noticed too is that Austin Eckler not getting involved in the passing game as much as even last year and stuff like that. Not being able to get him involved in the last game. They need to try and do that and establish it here against this one, because if Jacksonville wants to pick off where they left off last week, this could be a real dangerous game here, a trap game here for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this one is, like, I would say, like, last week, yeah, the Chargers had a chance to win it all and everything, and I wouldn't even blame it on injuries. Like, honestly, it was execution. And they just didn't do enough to win. I mean, listen, that was a hard-fought game between both teams, and the Chargers didn't do enough. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, they did enough last week. They really showed what this defense could be like. A very, very, like, high-pressure type of defense, in your face, in the backfield all the time. Chargers have one of the best offensive lines, though. I was extremely impressed in the last couple of weeks, even against the Chiefs, how much they've been able to protect, Herbert and able to even open up rushing lanes, like, with ease. So that alone right there is humongous for a team. And then for the Jaguars, they got a big time test against the Chargers. No question. I got to go with LA on this one. They're home, and they're away. Even their home is away. No. So I'm looking to see plenty of Jacksonville fans in LA cheering on their team, but the Chargers get the win.
I tell you, it's going to be probably some good defensive battles on this one. I think I like both defenses. The one thing with the Chargers, Linsley got banged up a bit last week.
The other thing too is Trevor Lawrence in this new offense. It seems like they just haven't found their niche in it. You know what I mean? Like, they've had some nice plays. Travis Etienne, we saw him last week, get some plays and make something happen. But it's like, it doesn't seem like it's clicking yet.
Yeah.
So that, again, too, is like part of the process. It's them to try to get used to and more comfortable with this, with Doug Peterson's offense.
Absolutely. Next, we've got the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals, Joe. Rams and Cardinals. Rams
Jesus.
have been looking
Do
rough.
we have to pick this one?
I know. Yes, I mean, and this should be talked about as one of those marquee games. Like, week 3 going into this, maybe these guys you would think could possibly have had 2 wins. Both
I just want to hit Control-Alt-Delete.
But it's been rough here, So the Cardinals, again, had a tough outing. They were able to come back to the game last week. And how about that 2-point conversion, too, man? You just let them sit back there forever, feel it out, and then take off and get that 2-point conversion for them. It reminds me of back when we were playing that pickup flag game against Jack all the time, running back and forth forever to try and catch that guy.
But we got him.
Well, we did get him, though. That was the big difference in that one. But the Rams, again, like we said, just don't look like the same Rams, or don't show you that they are returning Super Bowl champions. Cardinals play tough here at home. I would not be surprised if the Cardinals come back out of this one coming off that hype from beating the Las Vegas Raiders and put a stomp in here on the Los Angeles Rams. I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one at home.
Gotcha. I'm not sold on either team.
I know.
Cardinals in the 2 weeks, even though they got the win last week, they still didn't look good on offense. The Raiders defense is still a new defense, that they're learning, and they still were able to shut them down in the whole first half. They couldn't do anything in the first half, and it's like, if they're struggling against a team that is still kind of new to their scheme and everything, what's that say about, like, maybe when they play a team like the Rams that is, they know the offense, they know the defense, but they're still trying to find their footing as well. So these two teams are kind of in the same boat, and I have to go with the defending champions in this one, because I think this is kind of where, like, maybe they kind of gain some ground here and get back to themselves. Aaron Donald, he's just a beast to contend with anyway, and I tend to think that they're gonna make more plays than Arizona does. So I'm gonna go with LA.
All right, next up we've got the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks here.
Let's
Joe.
go! Come on, Falcons, pull it off.
Yeah, and Falcons, we've seen the tale of two different teams too as well, playing hard against against Russell Wilson week 1 and stuff, and putting on the pressure there for them. But again, kind of come back down to earth too, and show you that it is still the Seahawks. They're trying to go through some growing pains here. But the Falcons, like you said, have been really kind of surprising me again, and being in these tight games here against pretty good contenders here. So Seattle, it's going to be tough here still with the 12th man. They get it going, they get fired up here. So that's always a positive for them. But, man, this is going to be tough. I don't know. Who should I go?
Do it.
I'm going to go with Seattle at home.
All right.
Just because I like 12-man. I like Geno Smith here feeding off that. And Mariota, I'm still a hater. So I'm just riding with Seattle.
But I'm going to say
they got the best wide receivers.
I love the 12th man, but that still doesn't mean nothing if you don't throw the ball.
We'll see.
But
we'll see what happens.
I love the 12th man. I don't like Geno Smith. And I'm going to go with Atlanta because I am not a hater of Mariota. And I think that they finally, this has got to be the week where they finally get Kyle Pitts more involved.
Maybe they do.
I'm going on a limb on this one. I'm going to go with Atlanta to get this upset here.
All right, here we go. All right, next
if you want to call it an upset.
Yeah,
what is this kind of, what is this?
I don't know. Who is the favorite in this one? I don't look at the Vegas odds. So let's see who is the leading guy in this one. It's got to be a pick'em, right? Next, we've got Green Bay going into Tampa Bay. Again, Tampa not really looking so well for me. Not looking very good. I've heard talks here that maybe Chris Godwin's trying to make it back this week, but I don't think so. You're going to not have him there. You're not going to have Mike Evans, who's going to be out because of the fights. So now you're down to Russell Gage and Julio Jones, and rushed in to get Colt Beasley onto the squad.
Just so you know, okay, Akeem Hicks did get a 1-game suspension. And he didn't practice.
Well, he hasn't been a big factor.
He didn't practice today either. Let's see. Julio Jones did not practice. Chris Godwin did not practice.
So he probably won't play.
Their tight end, their rookie tight end, Cato Oten, did not practice, but it was more like a day off. And none other than Donovan Smith with an elbow injury did not practice. So if, let's just say, like Thursday they don't practice at all, that might be okay, but Friday's a real indicator, just like any other game status. If they practice limited, most likely they'll play. But as of right now, those players did not practice today, and they got almost like a laundry list on this one.
Yeah, counting on top of that offensive line. For me, I'm going to say right here, I don't like Tampa Bay in this one, just because of the injuries that they got. And Green Bay, are they getting? Is Bakhtiari going to be able to play in this game?
That could be. I don't know if he's going to be able to play.
Thing for them, but like they showed me more even last week that they were able to do than what Tampa Bay has been able to do. And look at the compound injuries. Once it's got to come into play now too. You saw how frustrated Tom Brady got last week. It's going to be rough for him this week too, I think, as well. They're going to get his panties in a bunch. I like Green Bay on this one.
Yeah, this is kind of like a test for Green Bay, though. You know what I mean? Because now that you got Lazard back, you got. They did get Elton Jenkins last week. He came back, but Bakhtiari was still out. I wonder if Bakhtiari would play this week, or they're just going to hold him out one extra week. Even so, they got most of those big-time players back. Green Bay's defense, they've been they've been after it. You know what I mean? You look at a lot of their linebackers are really kind of performing extremely well, and the defense against Tampa Bay, they're going to need it. I would say if they had their receivers, I would kind of lean towards Tampa Bay. But because it looks like right now, it looks like none of those guys are going to play. Mike Evans is suspended, so he's definitely out this week. And with that being said, they were still able to pull off a win, even by losing all those receivers. Right. But I'm going with Green Bay as well. I think this is a game where they could win, and this is a game that they need to win.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it would have to be Tom Brady trying to rely on somebody like a Julio Jones in this one, because one thing you do miss about Mike Evans is that physicality and be able to outmuscle some of these guys for those big catches. This would have been one of those games they could have used him, and now they don't have him, so that's a big factor in this one. All right, next, moving on to the San Francisco 49ers and the Denver Broncos. Denver, it's got their luck cut out for them right here. I think in this one, it's good for them. They're going to play home and stuff, but the Russell Wilson experience it hasn't been very good for Denver. And what's worse now is San Francisco has Jimmy G at the helm here for this one. So this is going to be a rough outing, I think, for these guys here. Denver hasn't been able to show that they've been able to put up some points here. Jerry Jeudy got a little banged up too again this season, so he's been trying to spread it out to some other guys. KJ Hamler I think has been a nice a move for these guys too this season, but. Again, not looking like very good on offense. Defense not very good either, not being able to put up points. In San Francisco, I think now that they got Jimmy G, they're ready to just get this train rolling. I like the 49ers in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that Jimmy G is now back leading this team. Yep. Their offense is going to look so much better now that he's there in command. Defensively, it comes down to health. They were beat up a little bit last week, but still were able to make some big-time plays. I look for them to get healthier and even stronger going up against Denver. And let's face it, Russell Wilson has not looked his best with the Broncos in that offense. I saw Cortland Sutton getting just absolutely destroyed on hits. I mean, he was getting pummeled. And then Jerry Jeudy, he scored, but is like not a dynamic.
Yeah.
He's no dynamic play from him just yet. So Denver still trying to figure things out on offense. Defensively, me and Jim called it before the season even started. Everybody was jumping on the bandwagon saying, "Oh, they got a great defense." No, it's a different defense, different D coordinator. So that alone, because their defense and their offense is still kind of newish, the Niners are a very solid team, especially with Jimmy G. I'm going Niners.
All right, Joe. Normally we would do Monday Night Football here on this one and do the picks, but I'm going to save it for next Monday. We're going to do the pick that day.
Do it Monday.
Because you know why? We're doing our live show from Restaurant 605 next Monday here, September 26th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Dion Lewis is going to be there in the house, meeting and greeting with people. Boy. He's going to sit down and talk with us, too, talk some football. Right. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. There's going to be great food, great drink specials, too, Miller Drafts, $4 Miller Drafts. And after we're doing with our live show, we're sticking around hanging out with the crowd, too, as well. And hanging out with you guys. And at halftime, we are giving away a jersey to you guys. That's right. All you got to do is fill out your name out there. Hit the subscribe button, too, on YouTube.
Got to show us proof.
And you got to show us that you did subscribe to us here.
Before you can sign it.
And you get it right there. That's right. And when you go to get your jersey, you've got it locked in, and you can enjoy that. And it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, Joe. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool checking in with Dion Lewis. I'm sure he has a lot of stories to tell, too, running with that Patriots crew and getting Super Bowl champion Dion Lewis. Mm-hmm. Kid from Albany, being able to make it that far. And have a Super Bowl ring and come back into town and hang out with us.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Dion Lewis is going to be one of those type of guys that everyone wants to meet. Like, he's a local guy. He's won championships. Very successful football player. So why not come on down to Restaurant 605, meet us there. Hey, have some great food. Because this is a new renovated spot. It's brand new. Yeah. Restaurant 605. It looks amazing in there. It's beautiful. Great for sports and great to hang out with your boys. Come down, have some beers, have some food, and join us live on location.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great when the owner is an actual chef himself, so the food there has got to be outstanding. So it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And the address is easy. It's 605 because it's 605 New Scotland Avenue in Albany. Go there Monday night, hang out with us, and let's have some fun there. Joe, that's it for our show here tonight. We've had a lot of fun here doing the picks, talking about it. It's week 3.
Yep.
Who knows what week 3 has in store for us, Joe? It could be totally flip side again here on this one.
I know it's going to be all messed up.
A lot of different picks for us. It's going to be crazy. It's a knockout, drag out throughout the season.
Yeah.
But, hell, like we said, to win the jersey on Monday, you got to hit the subscribe button.
Show proof. You have to show proof to us that you subscribe to us, and then you can we'll give you like I don't know if we're going to do a piece of paper or something like that. Just sign your name in there, throw it in to the hat there. And or we should say
everybody
football.
Else there, if you're not going to be able to make it here, you should subscribe to as well and recommend us to a friend too there as well for YouTube. And that's it for us. Again, thank you everybody that's listened to us on Spotify and Apple Music and all those guys too as well, and everybody in our Facebook group. If you haven't joined the group yet, Football on the No Show Facebook group, we're building almost to 1,000 members now. So join into our family. We appreciate it. That's it for us tonight, and we'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.